Welcome back, everyone, to our core lesson number 3. We are going to be focusing on expectations and boundaries today. Now, we've already done building a bond, and we've already talked about assessing their needs, our little friends' needs. So this one just really helps to bring it all together to have a very successful inclusion classroom. Here we go. So, expectations, control versus boundaries, and we're also going to talk about the boundary that we find the most success in our classroom. And then the key to all of this that you work so hard on every day, we'll focus on that as well. So, expectations for little friends. So, how do you introduce expectations in your classroom? Now, little friends coming in, they don't know what's happening. Most of the time, it's their first time at school.
Most of the time.
Because we work, with under 5.
Littles.
So, you want to find a way to teach them what they're going to expect at school. So, I think the most natural way that we have found to do that is literature. Mm-hmm. So books that talk about what their good choices look like, what not so great choices look like, or just things that could happen in the classroom. And then we also do what we call social stories, and this really helps friends that that need very specific attention on a specific thing that
we're working on,
that they're really have anxiety about, or anything like that. But let's go back to the literature part. So some of the books that we really focus on are things like Teeth Are Not for Biting. So this whole collection. This is an entire series. And this one really tells them this is what you can do with your teeth, instead of, biting.
Munch.
But there's a ton of them, even
Passies Are Not Forever.
The
diaper one. Feet Are Not for Kicking. Mm-hmm. That's another one of my favorites. So this is one of our
favorite series, is that talk about things that your body, most of the time it's your body, what it should be doing and what it shouldn't.
And I like to have them, just in this entire series, I like to have them infant all the way through my upper preschool classroom. And I've heard some people like to take them out if there's an incident that happens. Yeah. I rather just leave it in the classroom all the time and have it part of their library, so we're constantly reading it. Just because it's
part of their natural environment to just pick it up and we just read about it. It isn't
and it's a fun book to read too.
Yeah, so. and it isn't a problem thing. It's just something that
we'll talk about that.
Exactly. Is your teeth. This is what you do with your teeth, or this is what you do with your feet. So
for friends that are teething, my mouth hurts, or I have an itchy for my little ones that are teething. I mean, they can teeth straight through preschool. Yeah. But that's we'll talk about that.
Yeah, but again, it's a really great way for us to introduce, things that we really want them to do, and things that, not so great things, in a very natural environment.
Yes.
Another one of our really favorite books is Have You Filled a Bucket Today? Now, this one really talks about empathy. Mm-hmm. And it really helps us set up being kind to others.
And this one also has a baby edition.
Yes.
It has a board book that is meant for babies.
Yeah, for infants.
I like that one too.
Yeah, but this one we did we like to use it sometimes we use it for summer, the entire summer we do an entire unit on just this book, but it really focuses a lot on empathy and what others' feelings are, and how what we can do to make others feel
and there's
accepted. And
so many resources on different platforms that you can see of just how teachers have implemented this. And I've taken ideas from individual buckets to a one big school bucket, and really make it part of the lingo of the school, I think, of have you filled a bucket today. And really it does go into talking about very specific things like bullying. And I mean, it uses really good wording, in my opinion.
Yes.
That I really like, because it's something that we do need to talk about. So it is, again, it's an expectation that we have for our little guys to be able to know that, you know, what they do has an effect on their friends. So
yeah.
Great book.
So that's another piece of literature that we really loved when we found it. It's something that is also very tangible for them. Like you know, one of the summers we gave each one of them a bucket, and you know, they would feel like, well, my bucket, you know, even though it's invisible, you know, so it's very tangible for them to, and
it's easy to carry to different centers, because, you know, we had many in our sandbox. I mean, we used to have a 42 by 42 sandbox. It was a very large sandbox, and I remember we filled it with buckets, and at the same time we were doing this entire unit, and it was nice that it carried over, that, you know, they were talking about buckets, and now they have sand buckets, and, you know, it just carried over that way. So it was just really nice.
Yeah. Again, another very natural way of introducing ways that we want, you know, things that we expect from them in the classroom, and what happens during their day, and things like that. So another one of the books that we really, and Sandra, you found this one.
I did. I love this book so much.
What should Danny do? Now,
and there's different versions.
There are. Yeah. This particular one, this one is really fun, because what it does is it gives you the situation that Danny is in, and then it has them choose what should Danny do. And so, you know, I know that you have some stories about things that you know, that have happened that they've made Danny do, and
they made Danny not listen in the first one. And I remember it was one of those, I'm having a little bit of trouble, I don't know how to help this friend. I really, really want to help this friend. And I remember I'm sitting 3 a.m. in my bedroom, like, what resource, what book can I have? And so this one popped up in my feed as, like, you know, the different situations that I typed in. And immediately I'm like, you know what? It looks good. It has amazing reviews. I'm gonna purchase it. Yeah. I bought it, and I hadn't read it. I read it for the first time at Circle Time, and I got the group of friends that I needed to focus on that were, you know, were working through some things. And one of the friends, he decided that he wanted Danny to make a not good choice. And I forgot in the book what scenario it was. And he's like, he shouldn't listen. And I remember his other friends in the Circle Time were like, no, Danny needs to listen to his mom or dad or brother or his words. And I'm like, you know, let's see what Danny does when he doesn't listen. So this entire unit, it really, you can see the little one's wheels turning when Danny didn't listen to it. And we ended up buying the other book, which is Danny in School. Because this is Danny at Home.
Yeah.
There's a Danny at school.
Yeah.
And I think there's a third one. But I think that's for, like, older friends. And this is a good age for us, those two. And so it was, you know, the different scenarios of, you know, when they were in the kitchen and when he was doing breakfast, when he hid and ate the chocolate and he wasn't supposed to. I'm giving away the stories. But it was just really great to see, and I didn't always, the kids at Circle Time chose what Danny was going to do. And I didn't lead them anywhere. I'm like, okay, well, if that's the choice and that's the consensus of the group, let's see what Danny wasn't, you know, let's see what Danny, if he didn't make that, what happened
when he
if he didn't make the choice. Exactly. And so it was so eye-opening.
Yeah.
You know, and those conversations of what Danny did carried over, and they kind of self-reflected of, well, I didn't make a good choice. And we heard that, you know, weeks after, like, oh, well, I'm choosing. And sometimes it's like, I'm choosing.
And it talks about this, it's the power to choose. a power to choose book. So it really puts what happens in the kids' hands, and so it becomes very interactive, and they understand that their choices have consequences.
And I love, and we had a cape just like Danny, not the exact, but we have a cape. We have like a cape that we do. I think we stored it away, but we do have a cape.
Yeah,
a special choose cape.
Yeah, so it was again another piece of literature that really brought expectations, into reality for these little friends, and in a very fun and natural way. So again, these are just 3 of the many, 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 many books that we use.
Oh, we have many more that we can.
And you can
recommend.
pretty much find literature on any expectation that, things about feelings, things about, things maybe happening
what you do
at
when you're
home,
angry.
and, what you can do, at school and things like that. There are many different books that you can find. So literature is the way that we do it. I know that, some other schools have like, rules and, things that they talk about, but we don't really do rules per se. It's more
I don't think I've used that term in our classroom.
Yeah, it's more like, oh, are you being a bucket filler? Or are you being a bucket dipper?
Or how are we using our teeth?
Yeah, or what are teeth for? And so that is really how, we introduce. And just, they really seem to take it to heart, and it becomes real for them. And so we haven't really gone back after, using literature. Because it's so successful, and it really touches on it becomes real for any age group, because even our little friends, our infants, are interested. So again, one of our very, very useful tools that we have in introducing expectations. Now, social stories are a little bit different. Those are stories that you make up according to, something that the little friend is struggling through. And so you put that social story together and make it a book, and make it specifically for this friend that they can sit down and read. And it really helps, I think we've done like a friend that had a lot of trouble getting ready in the morning, and they didn't want to come to school, and so we talked to mommy about what was happening, and so we made a social story about like the things that you do before school, and then what happens at school when mommy drops off at the door and you say bye to mommy. And so this entire book was just to help this little friend not feel anxious about coming to school and saying bye to mommy. So that particular social story, it really helped.
Calm his anxiety.
Because he knew, okay, these are the steps, these are the things.
And now I'm going to go to school.
And then mommy will pick me up at this time, which was also part of the social story. But it really can be for anything. I don't know if you can think of any other social story that we have done.
We had a social story, our most recent one, which is not too recent, but our most recent one we did with a little one who was having anxiety to come. It was at the beginning of COVID, and everything was pretty uncertain. And again, everybody was having anxiety at the time, or a lot of us were. And he had to switch schools pretty immediately from the school that he went to closed, and it was just uncertain. He wasn't going to see his friends anymore, and he had to come to his brother's school. And so making a social story about his feelings and his anxiety of starting a new program, and the majority of his social story was making friends. He didn't know how to make friends, and that was part of his anxiety of, well, who am I going to play with when I get here? I don't know anybody. This is my brother's school, my baby brother's school. This is not my school. And so helping him through that was really, like I said, the part of the social story was, well, how do you make a friend? How do you talk to? How do I come into a classroom and say, hey, can you play with me? And then that social story was for him. And then we had other books to help with Let's Befriend, or let's let's, find people to play with together and different things to help on the other end with his other friends to kind of welcome him in. And that was a tough one. That was our most recent one.
Yeah. Again, I think literature in general is for the group. The social story is more for individual friends. I mean, it could be in a group setting as well, but I think it really is more geared toward specific things that, individual friends find difficult and that you can help them through in what to expect, in whatever situation that they find themselves in. And it really does help their anxiety level.
Now, one other one that I can think of is a friend that we had that his brother, with the 3 friends that we had, his older brother was going to kindergarten. The younger brother was going to an intervention program, and he was going to stay here at our program. And so, when we were going through all these changes, I asked Mom, like, what's his story? So she actually made the social story for us. I don't know if you remember that.
I do remember that one, yeah.
She made the social story when we told her about what our plan was. She's like, you know what? I think I have an idea. And so he would carry that book with him. And so he would go down the list. Very similar to the other friend, except this one had like a bus that he had to drop brother off. And this is the other one is brother goes to school and then I go to school. And so it really helped his anxiety because he went from having his entire family in our school to now him being the only one in our center. Yeah. That's a huge change for that little guy. So luckily it really helped him. And I love that Mommy took that project on. Yeah. I mean, not that I wouldn't love doing it, I would, but she kind of felt empowered to do it for her son. So that was great.
Yeah. Again, social stories are one of those tools that we also find extremely
very
useful. Yeah. So moving on to through expectations, really having realistic expectations as a teacher. Sometimes we have teachers that have these wonderful ideas about what a classroom of infants or a classroom of 4-year-olds should look
or
like.
2-year-olds.
Or 2-year-olds. Stories. Or 2-year-olds, what it should look like. But I want to always, and I always reiterate to anyone that we talk about, expectations in the classroom, that kids will, no matter how often you remind them, they could repeat mistakes. It is completely age appropriate for them to push boundaries. So it's very natural for them to repeat the same mistake. Some won't, but some will.
But some will. Every day. Every hour sometimes.
They could also regress. So something that they had already worked through, that you have already set the expectation up for.
They were doing well.
Something happened. They regress. Or they could tantrum, which is, those friends that have repeat mistakes and you have to keep reminding them. And so, they tantrum. And so it is part of the journey.
The process, right? The journey.
And so I put on here what we need to do as teachers. We need to outlast them. Because, these tantrums, we've had tantrums that are like 45 minutes long. And we just need to be patient right through it all.
And that's really hard.
And that it is. Hard. It could be, especially trying to run,
a classroom of other 12, of 11 other children.
With a or friend 24, that's tantruming, or parents walking in to pick up their kids, and you have this little friend tantruming. You need to outlast them, through those repeat mistakes, regression, tantrums. But you also need to outthink them. Because what you need to do is really, what is that called when you, I'm trying to think, when you, not plan ahead, but you kind of see it coming. Anticipate. You have to anticipate what is going to happen. And so you're already planning ahead.
Because this friend, going back to core 1 and 2, this friend.
Yes.
You know their triggers, you know their likes, you know their dislikes. you know them. And so you can see it coming.
Yeah, you can.
You can see it coming. Again, if you followed 1 and 2 of our core lessons, you're going to know this friend really well. You're going to see it coming. And of course, brace ourselves, because we can maneuver. We can outthink and outlast. Sometimes it happens. And then they fall into this tantrum, which we've had.
Yes.
Friends, most recently, little friends with big tantrum, big feelings. And so, again, the anticipation of it, I think, is another thing. And I mean, I find that sometimes we're able to, like, help them come around.
Yeah, redirect.
Thank you.
Emotion.
Redirect. Sometimes. And I think sometimes they just feel like their emotions are just so much. They just feel like I'm just gonna have a good cry. I'm gonna feel the feelings.
Feel the feelings.
And even then, and again, this is just me as a teacher. I kind of get down on their level and just tell them, okay, when you're ready, you can come and talk to me. I am right here. And so we as co-teachers kind of, okay, do you have this one? Okay, I got it. Are you going to take it this one? And we kind of just know who has it. When we were like younger teachers, we would like talk about it. And now we kind of, okay, like the nod, the head nod, or from across the classroom. And so we kind of know. And so most of the time, or if it happens on the yard, then they come inside and have a safe space to talk about it. And we kind of, okay, well, when you're ready. But sometimes just letting them go through it. And it's hard.
Again, that's part of outlasting. And like I said, outthink them. Just anticipate a lot.
If you can redirect, by all means.
And then outmaneuver. Again, thinking up of as many ways to try and bring back the expectation and remind them. And for the most part, when these little friends, they remember the literature and they're like, oh yeah, I should, like Danny, I should listen.
And remember to make good choices.
Yeah. Or I remember now that my teeth are not for biting this toy, they're for biting an apple.
Or I do need to buy, I need a Chewy.
Yes.
Because I'm chewing toys and I'm chewing books. And, that prompting, again, outthinking, would you like a Chewy? Because you're putting things in your mouth, and remember germs, and germs are not for sharing. That's another one of those
germs are not for sharing.
And so, again, it's one of those things like, oh, that mental, I need a Chewy. And we have a box, a little, for depending on what age they are, we have like a little basket
Chewies
of
that they can go and pick.
Yeah, that they can pick, and we have like different shapes and textures and different things.
So like again, outmaneuvering, going into your little toolbox of
what are we going to take out?
Things that you can use to redirect their emotions and bring back those expectations, but really understanding as teachers that this is part of the journey. Like, it's not once your children learn, this is what I expect from you, it doesn't mean that they're going to do it all of the time. And even friends that are, for the most part, they understand expectation and follow it, they're going to have off days just like we do.
Well, I was just thinking that. I was going to ask you because, and I think this is, again, and I hope this is along the lines of this, because I think that's why I love checking in with how their night was. And I know that in the infant room, us as infant teachers, it's auto. We immediately, how was their night?
Yeah, how was their morning?
How was their morning? And immediately parents were kind of in that 1-2. Yeah. And with preschool parents, it doesn't really seem like, what? It's sometimes a silly question to ask because they're a little older. But to me, I really find that it's something really important. Like, they didn't eat all their breakfast. Oh, they're going to be hungry. You know what? I'll pump in an extra snack, or let me, you know what I mean? Like, again, anticipating. They didn't nap
all weekend. Oh, okay. They're going to be
tired. Really tired and cranky, or, do you need to have a couple minutes to kind of, Sue, do you want to come inside with me to do mats today? just in case they need to go down early. So yeah, to me that is part of outmaneuvering or think yes, definitely outthinking because I know that my infant coming in is going to have a difficult. She's not going to make it to the 10 o'clock snack, because she didn't have breakfast and she didn't get to play with her favorite toy and now she's at school. Nobody's fault. It's just part of routine. We're here. We're doing it. So it's just keeping in mind.
Again, remembering that the expectations have to stay, just be realistic about them as a teacher. And they change, daily. Yeah. Sometimes hourly.
Yes. Sometimes Monday, and that's another thing. Monday expectations
are different than Friday expectations.
Oh, it's so funny because we talk about that every day. Like, okay, we're in our Thursday routine. Like everybody everybody is on a motion. Everybody, and then of course Friday comes, and that's a whole nother. We have a whole nother routine for Friday, and then but the Monday routine is just okay. The Reset. Monday expectation is they're going to come back. They're going to want us, for my babies, they're going to want me to hold them. They're going to want me to, to help them with this. And whereas the Friday, they're so independent and doing things and eating on their own. And so, again, that's another thing for us that we know Monday resetting expectations and then coming through. And that's very, very typical. Yeah. Well, at least that we've seen.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely is something that we know.
We know the drill. We're like, okay, Monday. We even prepare ourselves like, okay, we're coming back.
Monday. And long weekends.
Oh, and that's long weekends. Or even having we just came back from spring break, okay, well, we've been gone for a week. Yeah. They've been home for an extra 11 days. Yeah. They've had parents, they've gone to trips, they've gone to this. And so, kind of just having that little extra, we're going to love you through this. We're all coming back. We're all excited to see each other. And we're all going to remember some rules or some expectations. We're all going to remember some things that we might have not done at home, but we're back at school now.
Yeah, so. I like that. You're at school now.
No, we're back at school. We're back in routine.
All right. So moving from expectations to boundaries. Now, I want to focus a little bit on control versus boundaries.
We got some words.
Because sometimes that can be a very blurry line. You have teachers that want to control the classroom, and that isn't really healthy for our friends. Just because
it isn't healthy for teachers too, because I think you're
you add stress to your life that you don't need to have.
Yes.
So control is making kids do what you want them to do. Again, there's some things that you have to control safety.
Number one,
safety.
Yes.
But most of the things, aside from safety, I think that you can have a boundary, and then having clear limits and having the kids choose for themselves what, the boundary, you let them know, okay, this is the boundary, and now you're, go and play. And if you choose to break, to not, follow the boundary, then you're going to have a consequence. So,
we're going to talk about it.
Really, really try and check yourself as a teacher, and make sure that what you are not doing is trying to control the classroom, because like you said, that is highly stressful.
So stressful.
And it really, when you try and have a control, what is that called?
Relationship?
Or just what is it when you have when you take control away from them?
Power struggle.
Thank you. When you have a power struggle with an infant, with a toddler, with a preschooler, you are going to lose, because they are going to do absolutely everything in their power, which we already know.
To get that snack, to get that sippy
which
cup.
We already know what they can control. They can control sleep,
food.
They can control food,
and
they can
their
control
hygiene.
potty. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So they're gonna use those three things.
Ammo. That's their ammo.
To win that power struggle. And so you don't want to get into a power struggle with them. So, you know, we always choose to give them the control.
Like and we'll talk about how, because I don't want to make it seem like our kids
do what they want.
could do what they want. Because again, a fine line.
It's having the clear limits is where we want to be.
Right.
Boundaries. So, the most effective boundary that we have ever come across is a daily routine for your friends in the classroom. Now,
honey,
there are so many boundaries that you can establish, but this one, it can hit so many of those things without even naming all of the boundaries that you want them to have. It automatically,
I got stories about that.
It automatically puts you in a place where this is what what you do when you come into school. And so the daily routine is absolutely crucial. I think if that's the only boundary you ever have,
you're good.
Then you will already, start off successfully.
Yes. And this we've learned through painstaking.
Yeah.
And I think that me and you, combined, we have 45 years combined in the classroom. And we literally mean 45 years in the classroom.
Yeah.
So I think that with me, even with the baby, I find it the younger, the better.
Yeah. And
I'm not saying, me as an adult, I love routine.
True.
As a person.
Yeah. I find that also, soothing. But, there is, for infants that are really, really little, obviously a daily routine looks very different.
Oh, very different.
Than the structured routine that a preschooler would have.
Agreed.
But it does not mean that you cannot have a routine of sorts with.
It looks different, and I think being over the infants now, our infants are care-based. So we have a routine. Each of them, believe it or not, have their own routine. They just started syncing up, maybe 6 months ago? Where 3 of them out of the 5 are 3 out of the 5 are all in one routine. And then my other 2 kind of have their own. But they still have a routine.
They do.
And we work with families, just today. We're like, okay, we're down. How did the new nap go? Did we do okay? And again, our parents are extremely supportive. They themselves too have a routine. And so again, coming to school and doing that daily routine. But my babies have a routine that I work with the parents to make sure that, I'm not going to mess up their night routine because this is the nap routine that we have. And if they did, then we make it work. It keeps going till they leave our school.
Just a little example of what our routine looks like before we move on to benefits of a routine. So our kids come in. They're
greeted.
They're greeted.
Remember, we have to say all those little things that we just automatically do.
They know that they have to say bye to mommy and daddy. Then they sit down. They take off their shoes, their socks, because they have school shoes.
In case it gets a little bit tough, we kind of have to help. Because sometimes...
The shoes and socks?
No. When it's hard to say goodbye to a friend.
Oh, okay.
When it's hard to say goodbye to a mommy.
Yes.
Sometimes we have those mornings.
Well, Mondays are one of those times.
Like, I've been with you so long, and we extra at the door, and give mommy extra hugs, and okay, I'm going to help you now.
Yeah. So we say bye to mommy. Or daddy, or granny, whoever's
dropping off.
And then, they take off their shoes, their socks, their jackets. They put it in their cubbies. And then
every one of them, every single one.
Then they go and they wash their hands.
Yes.
And then they make a choice. So they know that in the morning the playroom is open, so they can come into the playroom. One of them actually has a routine where they have a little bit of tablet time.
That's his transition. That's his routine.
And then after he is ready, he'll tell me, okay, I'm ready. And then he'll join his friends in the playroom.
He just finds it more soothing that way to have a couple minutes. Again, the structure
it eases
at
his
home.
anxiety
Yes.
of, you know, he gets excited about, a little bit of tablet
and then
time.
he says bye to mommy a lot, or daddy a lot easier.
Or daddy. And then he has a little bit of tablet time. And then he's ready to play.
I mean, there's been a case where you said he didn't want no tablet time.
Yeah.
He didn't want any tablet time.
Yeah.
Because he was just so excited over the toy that we bought, or
yeah.
the new stuff that we had.
Yeah. So after that, then, when we have the timer go off, because the timer lets them know that it's cleanup time.
That is another part of our daily routine that we stick to.
Yes. So the timer
we should have a timer here.
The timer is what lets them know that it is the time to finish this activity, and we're going to transition to the next activity. So then they know they're
well, because we don't say to them.
No, we do not tell them. No, the timer lets
when
them know.
We're training, though, we do say.
We do.
We give warnings.
And what happens a lot of times is that they train each other.
Yeah, it's kind of great. I love it.
So the friends that already know what's happening, they're like,
they hear the beep, 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 and they're like, oh, it's cleanup time.
Cleanup time. And so the other friends are like, oh, what's happening
okay,
here?
let's do it.
Okay, let's clean up. So after they clean up, we know that we do temperature checks.
Mm-hmm.
Then we line up. Then we go outside for breakfast. And so on and on and on. So our friends know exactly what's going to happen next.
And this happens every day.
And it happens every day.
Unless
we'll talk about how we make changes.
We'll
talk about but because what you want to do is make it as consistent as possible. And so let's talk about why is it so important?
Oh,
why?
Yeah, let's talk
why
about
is
that.
It so important?
That's good. That's a good idea.
So the goal of a daily routine is to create a structured day that promotes predictability and stability. Now, neurodiverse friends thrive in these type of environments, but also typically developing friends.
That's true. Yes,
benefit from it as well, because they know exactly what's going to happen next and what's going to happen next. And so the expectation and the boundary, like, oh, well, I want to go play over there. Well, you know that right now it's time to do this and not that. So but
we're going to get to do that at
after this,
time.
After nap time or so they know exactly when it's coming. Like, oh, but I really want to, have my snack. Okay, well, we're going to have snack in 5 more minutes because, that's the routine. So they already know. And so what does it do? It gives children a sense of security, trust. Like, I know what's going to happen. You're not going to trick me. It gives them confidence because they're like, oh, I already know what to do. I know what to do.
I know that if I clean up, I have to go line up.
Yeah, I know that when the timer goes off, I'm going to put everything back where I found it. And then I'm going to go and line up. And so it gives them a lot of confidence. Like, I know what I'm doing. Mm-hmm. And then it gives them what we want them to have, which is control. They are they feel in control.
Which is funny because we built the structure, but we didn't do it in a way where I'm in charge. I will tell you. I don't know why I have that demanding voice, but I feel like that's how it comes. Like, you know what I mean? When people put a boundary on you, like when you're at the DMV or when you're at the bank, or you know what I mean? Like, it's like, this is the way. And it's like, okay, calm down. Anyways, but with little guys, we want them to have that confidence. We want them to have that control. And they know when they hear the timer, they're fully in control of when they clean. Mm-hmm. Again, everything has a place. Everything has, our space and our environment. That's a whole nother topic.
Environments is another
topic. But they feel like empowered. Like, I can do this. I don't have to have anybody. Teacher Sandra doesn't have to help me because I can do it by myself. All by myself.
And they thrive on that.
And then I can do it. I have never helped a friend that has already been in our core routine. I mean, to me, maybe a couple of adjustments, again, to re-straighten out. But for the most part, they own doing that. And it's amazing to see them be so proud of how it looks. And they even look back sometimes like, okay, double checking. Okay,
how does it look?
Does
Okay,
it look?
it
It looks good. Okay, and then they go back and they know exactly what to do. And that is such a beautiful feeling. Number one. Number two, I didn't do it. Best part, you didn't do it?
Yeah.
I didn't do it. Yes. When they're all outside, I come back in and I kind of straighten out a little, and maybe there's like a little toy that, didn't make it in the right bin or something small. But the point is that I didn't do it. I wasn't standing over them. I wasn't dictating to them. I wasn't going through we've done this a million times. Why do we keep? No. I gave them complete ownership to do it.
Yes.
And this entire playroom is all for them to play with.
Yes.
And yes, we've had times where we're like, oh, okay, we weren't quite ready
Yeah.
We weren't quite ready to take out all the food. Yeah. You know what I mean? And so we kind of scale back a little, but it's a learning process.
It is.
It's a learning process. And for my littles, when I start opening different things up, I'm modeling and I help them. So by the time they're ready for Claudia's class, which is in the same class, when they're ready for Claudia's routine, because my routine is...
I'm their primary. I'm their primary. The older friends are my friends.
The younger friends are my primary.
Even though my littles are little too. They're my babies
and
too.
I have the older ones too, which is so funny because when we swap, they're like, where's Teacher Claudia? I'm like, guys... Teacher Claudia's working on something. I'm going to come and help you. So it's just funny. But when I help my littles, because even they have an opportunity to do this, and we start them and even we just say, oh, we heard the timer, and they're still playing. Mm-hmm. They're still playing. But just the fact that they heard, they remember, and right now they're about what? They're 18 to 22 months, the oldest one. And they know, they hear that timer, and then they might put away a quarter of the toys. Hey, that's great.
Yeah.
For being 22 months. Again, by the time they hit Claudia, when they hit 2 years or 2.5, they're ready to go.
Yeah.
And again, that's another talk that we can talk about helping, infant teachers helping preschool teachers.
Yes.
Because we've had some words about that. So really giving them the control is the best part. Claudia and I don't have that power struggle with them because it's something this is your responsibility. This has been your expectation. You played with this area and now we're going to clean it up. And so you do your job and I'm going to go do my job, which is help the littles. And Teacher Claudia's over there doing something else. Getting snack ready. You're cleaning up and I'm helping the littles. Yeah. And so everybody kind of has a job. And they feel that responsibility and that control of, well, I'm going to do my part too. Yeah. So it's amazing to watch.
It is. It really is. And so, again, what you're doing is using the daily routine to do all these things.
And here's the thing. Let's be really honest. Sometimes you're just like, nah, bro. Like, I am just not having it today. Yeah. And we need mental health days. And I think that's where Claudia's just like, okay, Sandra. And we say these things in private or in text message and we kind of pick each other like, okay, Claudia's feeling a little low today. I'm going to kind of step it up a little. Yeah. And if I'm not feeling that well, then she'll pick it up a little. We're still present. And the routine doesn't change because I don't feel well. But our littles don't feel the change. You know what I mean? Our littles are like, okay, well, Teacher Claudia's here and Teacher Sandra's here, so that's... And if I'm not here, and again, we'll get to that when things change a little, but I really, really appreciate this. And yes, it can get really difficult when you're doing the same thing at the same time every single day. But here's the part. It's successful.
It is. And it really is. And it really is not for you.
Right.
Well, it could be for you, like you're just saying. But it really is for their success. Mm-hmm. And, it really helps them to feel in control and feel confidence. And that, in turn, really helps you have a more peaceful classroom.
It's true.
That, and again, like...
If that's what you're looking for to do.
And what we love most about the daily routine is that it is fully inclusive. because friends, like we talked about, friends that are neurodiverse, they really thrive on this because they know, okay, this is what I'm going to do next and do next. And
Even
do
from
next
the time they get dropped off, they know, okay, I have to, and they really do thrive on routine.
Yeah.
They really do. Your youngest did.
Yeah. And
for
so,
many, many years.
Yeah. Well, he still does. And so this gives them, again, the control that they can feel so that they don't have anxiety, or the security that they know that they're going to get picked up after second snack or whatever.
Third snack.
I lost count.
We have a snack.
Many snacks.
Many.
But again, it is an inclusive tool. That's why this is our number one. Mm-hmm. Our number one is daily routine. 100%. So I did write on here, once a daily routine has been set, you can see clearly who struggles and why they're struggling through a certain thing. And so that's when you start seeing, okay, this little friend needs a little help here. This little friend needs a little help here.
And it really is our piggyback on the assessment part. This is really where you get to see their strengths, and where you get to see the things that we need to work on. Specifically, because Claudia and I use playtime and different things like that for us to learn how they're doing with sorting, how they're doing with classifying, how they're doing with counting, if they're doing the 1, 2, 3, the way they put away 1-to-1 correspondent. This is how we do assessments. But really, if they're struggling socially, that's a really big one for us. And we're observing it, like, are they picking up cues when the timer goes off? I'm only looking up there because that's where one of the timers is up there. One of the timers is there. And so, that's a really good time for us to be, to see, do they really know how to clean up? And that's another thing that we've noticed, like, I don't think this friends. And so we kind of talk about it when the kids are, before the kids come or after the kids leave.
Or how long their attention span is for friends that are older. Like, friends that were moving to kindergarten soon and they still can't stay in one activity
for more than 15 minutes.
Or for the amount of time that should is usually typical
developmentally appropriate
for their age.
Correct.
So this really helps us to observe where each of these friends are struggling, because again,
and where we can help, definitely.
Exactly. So daily routine, number 1. Now you want to really be careful with age appropriate. Making sure that what you're choosing as a boundary is age appropriate. Yes. That's why I love the daily routine, because it is across the board for everyone. But if you do have the boundary of, I need you to stay in this area at this time, is that really realistic for our 22 months old? Maybe. You're going to be reminding them a lot that they need to go back to their area, or whatever that boundary is.
They will get it though.
They will. But so I put on here, always refer to your developmental checklist for each of their developmental checklists. Remember that age does not equal development. So you want to make sure where they are.
That is so important. I think that's like half the battles right there, is knowing their developmental age. And I think we said that in our Core 1 and Core 2 lessons. Age does not equate development. We are always deficient in something. We're always working. That's what I love to tell parents. That's what I love to tell us and remind us.
Working on something.
We're always, all of us are always working on something.
Yeah. So always remember, to make sure that those boundaries meet that the appropriate development for that particular friend.
Well, specifically also for inclusion friends. I think sometimes, and here's another thing, and this is just me, and you can correct me, but I think sometimes with friends that need a little bit more assistance, we kind of give them a little bit more slack. Like, well, you don't have to do that. I love you. Yes, you can. Yes, you can do that. You can do that, and we're going to work really hard together to make sure we can get this going.
Again, if that friend is, let's say, 4 years old, but they're developmentally 18 months, then I'm going to expect them to do what an 18-month-old does, and they're going to work through, their milestones.
Their 4-year routine.
Yeah, and so I'm still going to expect from them. I'm not going to not expect because, they are
again, it can be a little bit difficult. Exactly.
But I can see how that can be difficult, but always refer. That developmental checklist is gold. And then to remember that boundaries grow as the child grows.
Yes.
So they're not going to stay in the same, they're not, and it could be like, overnight. Like, they're over their morning nap, so now they can, the boundary isn't there anymore. That
Which
they have
literally
to stay
happened
inside.
this week.
Yeah, they have to stay inside for morning time to lay on their mat because they're not napping anymore. So now they have a new boundary that.
And I understand it is because we've had that when we owned a center where a group of 8, 6 of them grew out of their morning routine, but we still had 3 that still had to nap in the morning or still wanted to nap in the morning. What do you do in that case? We're building these friends are developmentally ready to go outside and play for an hour, 45 minutes to an hour. But now we're with the ratio of, oh my goodness, I have to have one inside. I have to have one outside. And I think that's where, as a director, I remember coming in to take them outside with the teacher and to spend time with them while the other one was inside. Or sometimes I would stay with the nappers and the other 2 teachers would go outside. And again, it's something that's where the routine, being flexible with the routine. Definitely. As far as if you are noticing a change in their development. Like our nappers are now, they're having new boundaries set because now they're not inside, like you said, as long. Now they're outside, and it's like a whole new, I don't know this because this is new to them. I've never been outside this early in the morning. For the last year and a half, I've been taking a nap this early.
So they get to see all the setup of the sensory and all
that. They get to see all the morning routine stuff of teacher Claudia spending her time opening this area and this area and this area. Oh, this one's not ready yet. This one's closed. We have to wait until it's ready, and so different things like that. So that's definitely a nice nugget to remember.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So another thing about boundaries is making sure that each of the little friends, as a group, as an individual, they know ahead of time what is going to happen if they don't follow.
So important.
So what Sandra and I do is just, again, we set up the expectation, we set up the boundary, and then we just remind them, if you don't listen, I'm gonna go help your body. Or
remember, I remember that's closed.
Yeah,
that's closed, friend.
Yeah. Remember. So just knowing ahead of time, these friends are going to be like, okay, well, I didn't listen. So when you do have to step in and give them the consequence, they'll know why it's happening and not like be caught off guard. Like, why are you helping my body?
You didn't tell me. Yeah, I did tell you.
So that is also really important. Mm-hmm. Just making sure that you give them like ahead of time. Okay, but if you're not listening, then this is going to happen. You're going to have to leave that area and go to a different area. And they don't like that very much. So.
No, they don't. They really, so especially if they have a whole plan working with their friends. But if they're hitting their friends with the dinosaurs, the dinosaurs are closed.
Yep.
And we're going to go find something else. Oh, you didn't hear Teacher Sanders' words. Teacher Claudia. Teacher Sanders is going to help my friend go to the area, go to another area. We're going to help. Here we go. And so, again, loving them through that.
Yeah.
Because, again, it's going to happen for sure.
Yep, for sure. All right, moving on. The key. Here's the key. Ooh, the key to success. Ta-da! Consistency.
Boom. Drop the mic.
So, if all of these things that you're working so hard on as a teacher to have this amazing routine and these amazing expectations, you're introducing them and you have these boundaries.
You're doing everything right.
Then, if you don't have the consistency, it really all falls apart. So
now here's the kicker. consistency.
Yes. So
we're co-teachers.
So it means a few different things. So it is, I put on here the most important step of all, because again, it will all fall apart if you are not consistent. So I put on here, no today means no tomorrow, which also can in turn be yes today means yes tomorrow. Or this is what Sandra's talking about, is if teacher Claudia says no, teacher Sandra's gonna say no. And so, because we have many friends that are like,
that's my favorite.
I'll just go ask teacher Sandra, she'll let me. And so we have to really be on the same page about being consistent
as
co-teachers, so none of this hard work that we've done falls apart. So it is sometimes really difficult to stay consistent. Because
I mean, we've been like, wait, you said yes? Well, I said, oh, you said yes. Okay, well.
Sorry, teacher Sandra said yes. I'm
didn't.
Sorry.
I didn't know the plan. I think we did that one today where.
Yeah. So again, being consistent as a team.
And if you're not in a team, if you are on your own,
being consistent
with yourself.
No matter how you're feeling, by the way. Because I know sometimes you're just like, oh, just go, just do it. but no today means no tomorrow. You cannot change it.
Remember, this is a long-term plan.
Yes.
And that's what I think. And I remember, I'm like, okay, I can't go stop. Because here's the thing: we're gonna have these little friends, and I'm talking about my babies. We're going to have them until they turn 5. I mean, parents want us to open at elementary. No. You're going to leave at TK or K. And so it's going to, whatever happens now, it's going to keep happening, because if one of us gives in or breaks that consistency, gaining it back
is twice as hard. It is. And see,
it's not worth it, honestly.
When you want a controlled classroom, something that, again, classroom management, which is something else that we want to focus on, but not right now, you have to be consistent. It has to be the same, decision that you make now that you will make then, that you won't, again, it has to be consistent. Now,
from one friend to another friend to another friend
to all the friends, no matter if this little friend is 22 months or 5 years old, like it stays consistent. Now, there is a trick, and this is what we use, because again, sometimes routine has to change.
Excuse me.
Sometimes it does have to be different, because like rainy days or something like that. So
we have our rainy day toolkit.
Yes. So what the trick that we use is, this is open, this is closed. So, when we open an environment and we let them know, like, okay, this is closed, that means they cannot use it, right? So, on some days when we're in the middle of transitioning and a full-on new activity that we're doing, we let them know this is closed, and so they know, again, I know that yesterday it was open, but today it's closed, and it will be open again tomorrow,
or maybe this afternoon.
Yeah. So that, again, it really helps for them to learn those two words, this is open, this is closed, because we can change the consistency part of it all. When it comes to activities, things like just different things like that. Like if they want a specific snack.
Again, the core routine has stuck.
Yeah.
Not to be confused. The core routine is set. It is, again, the open and close. The right now, Teacher Claudia's working on the sandbox. So we have to wait for it to be cleaned or for it to be disinfected or whatever she's doing. And so this is closed for now, but it's going to be reopened.
Yeah. And we use that the same for like when we have holidays. The school's going to be closed.
Yes.
So you're going to have 2 extra home days. And so part of this trick to consistency is communicate with your children, with your friends, with your little ones about what's going to be different.
And that's with all of them. And with my littles, because they don't know, again, they're my youngest one is 13 months. My second youngest, 14 months. So with them, I'm not able, they don't know. They might know that I'm not present because they don't physically see me, but they don't know the link. They don't know the time. Again, concept to them is a little bit different right now. And so I will let their parents know. And so letting their parents know eases the anxiety of, okay, Teacher Sandra will not be here, or Teacher Claudia will not be here, or we're closed. And we talk to them for many, many, many days when leading up to our spring break, for 2 weeks before that. We're like, okay, remember, next Friday, we're going to have one more Pizza Friday, and then we're going to have 5 home days, and Teacher Claudia and Teacher Sandra are going to take a little break, and then we'll be back. And then we talk about that. And so I know that that's something that we talk to our parents about how we address it with them. And then their parents will tell them, yeah, they've told us. Yeah. They've let us know. They let us know Teacher Sandra did this and Teacher Claudia did this. And because we're extremely open, we feel that it's best for children to know. And this all stems from when your youngest was younger, obviously, and he needed a lot of prepping.
Yes.
Especially when your career started to move on a little bit more. And we would travel and different things like that. And I remember it was just, his anxiety just got so much more. Okay, well, I can't call mommy here because she's in a meeting, but I can call mommy here, here, and here, and it's okay.
Yeah.
And so it really helped sister and dad
out.
So
communicating openly about what's happening, what's different, what's open, what's closed.
And as soon as I feel letting them know. Like today, or just the plumber's coming. Oh, well, it's someone new. It's different. We can't eat lunch in our normal spot. Okay, we're going to have to change a little, but guess what? We're still having lunch. It's just going to be a little bit different. But being open with our little guys. I think sometimes we kind of want to not tell them too much information, but honestly, their anxiety level gets really, really high, or they might feel scared or afraid of, and our kids are just like, oh, okay, it's a plumber. Hi! He's a friendly person coming in. Or we're just honest with them and say, you know what, we're going to we have help with the sink. We need help with the sink. So they're going to come in and help us with the sink.
Yeah.
So different things like that.
Communication definitely is important, is an important part of consistency.
Agreed.
All right. So just to recap, your balanced classroom requires realistic expectations. Remember, things will happen that are not what you wanted them to happen, but keep moving forward. A daily routine, which we find is probably the best boundary that we use, and then consistency. Make sure that
keep it going.
You are on the same page with your teams, that you are doing the same things today that you're doing tomorrow and the next day. And again, part of the consistency trick, communicate, make sure that they know when something is open, when something is closed, when something's going to change. Keeping open communication with your little friends. This is how we, use expectations and boundaries in our classroom to make sure that it's balanced, and a balanced inclusion classroom, and making sure that every friend feels safe and empowered, and all those wonderful things that
they feel successful. That's very important to us.
And you feel successful as a teacher, and they feel successful as a student.
Well, and the parents feel successful because
they love coming to school.
They do. They really do love coming to school. I have one that if brother's not in school, mom wants to just bring him. Like, mom, he asks.
He requests.
He requests to come, even though mommy has a day off, and he's just, no, I want to come to school. I want to be with my friends. And I mean, that's okay. I mean, for me, I want them. That's who I want them to build a relationship with, is their friends, and to have that culture in our school. I'm okay with the background. I'm okay with, just being the one that, serves them lunch, or as one of them told me, that I just clean a lot. That's my job. Teacher Sandra just cleans a lot. It's like, I'll take it.
That is important.
That is very important.
So, we know that all these things are going to help that balanced classroom. So we're really excited that we were able to share all these awesome techniques and tools that you can use for your classroom. Mm-hmm. So thanks again for listening. And if you have any questions, any comments, we would love to hear what tools you guys have for your inclusion classroom. You can email us at preschoolchicas@gmail.com. And stay tuned for our most awesome 4th core lesson.
It's going to bring it all together.
It's going to bring it all together, and we're super excited.
Yep.
So thanks again. See you guys soon.
Bye.